Disney World cast members are put through one of the most intensive training programs on Earth. What to say, how to move, and what to keep quiet. And a lot of what they're keeping quiet directly affects your trip. Welcome aboard. I'm Don B from Eat, Sleep, Disney. Several members of the ESD team are former cast members. Today we're sharing what they can't tell you, but we will. Starting with the one thing you'll never hear a cast member say to you. I don't know. Well, in fact, I do know. It's the cast members. They're the ones who are specifically trained to never use the words, I don't know. The guest asks a question, any question. The required response, they actually don't know the answer, is let me find out for you. This sounds like a customer service nicety. It's actually much more powerful than you think. Because every cast member, the person scanning tickets at the gate, custodial crew, popcorn cart worker near the hub, every single one of them is trained to help you find an answer. They have radios, they have contacts through the park, they have access to real-time information that the app doesn't always show you. Most guests might ask for directions or something simple when something closes. Smart guests ask them a lot more. Which ride nearby has the shortest wait right now? Is there a character appearing somewhere that isn't showing in the app? Essentially, all cast members are trained to be your concierge, and most guests never take advantage of it, but now you will. Now this one's going to change how you board certain Disney rides for the rest of your life. Cast members who operate attractions know the best seats on every ride they work. They don't volunteer this information, but they absolutely have it. And here's the real secret inside the secret. You walk up to a cast member at the boarding area and politely ask if you can sit in a specific row or position. They'll do their best to make it happen. Availability, party size, and ride demand all factor in, so it doesn't work every single time. But it works far more often than guests realize, simply because most guests never ask. Now, naturally, the next question you have is, so what are the best seats? Well, here's what we've consistently found across the parks. On Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot, rows 9 and 10 give you the back row launch momentum, while also putting you in what effectively becomes the front row of the coaster before the Big Bang hits, because this ride launches backwards. On Soarin' at Epcot, you want Section B, Row 1. The top and center of the entire theater. Best views, no feet dangling in your face from the row above. On Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Magic Kingdom, the back row keeps you significantly drier on the final drop. Now, we can't promise you'll be completely dry, but the front row takes the full force of the wave. And on the Kilimanjaro Safaris at Animal Kingdom, sit on the left side of the truck for the best sight lines to lions, elephants, and cheetahs. On Slinky Dog Dash at Hollywood Studios, the back of the train gives you the best unobstructed views. While Slinky's head in the front row is adorable, it's right in your line of sight. On Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios, the back row gives you the most potential airtime, but keep in mind there is a randomized drop sequence with the computer choosing from 4 different set ride profiles, so each ride might be a little different with varying airtime. Now, how do you get these seats? Well, when you reach the boarding cast member, just ask. Sometimes something as simple as, any chance we could get the back row? Said with a smile goes a long way. Now this is something I've always suspected, but our cast members here were able to confirm. Those wait times you see in the app or posted never seem accurate. And now we have confirmation they're not, but it's intentional. Disney's posted wait times are almost higher than the actual time you'll spend in line. Usually 15 to 25% inflated. And the reason is simple. When it comes to customer service, it's better to underpromise and overdeliver. When you beat the posted wait time, you exit the ride feeling like you won something. Yay, I only waited 75 minutes, not 90 minutes for Slinky Dog Dash. The experience ends on a positive note. Disney posted accurate times and you waited exactly that long, it would feel neutral at best. Now, this isn't always true. Sometimes those ride posted times are accurate, ride times fluctuate quickly, and rides can always break down. So now before you walk past a ride because the posted time feels so long, knock off 20% of that number and ask yourself, is the adjusted wait worth it? Sometimes the answer changes completely. If you didn't get reservations at a desired restaurant before your trip, all is not lost. Cast members at popular Disney World restaurants, places like Be Our Guest, Topolino's Terrace, Oga's Cantina, and more, know exactly how many walk-up spots they can accommodate before the restaurant even opens. There's a specific number. Once it's filled, the walk-up list closes, regardless of what the app shows you. So This tells us a few things. First, if you want a walk-up spot, you need to join the mobile dining walk-up list the moment the restaurant opens, not 30 minutes later when the spots are already gone. Being first actually means, well, being first. Second, there's a proximity catch most guests don't know about. You can't join a restaurant's walk-up list remotely. You have to already be inside the park or resort where the restaurant's located before the app will let you add your name. Plan accordingly. You can't grab a walk-up spot for Ohana from a ride queue at Magic Kingdom. Third, party size matters more than most people think. Cast members assigning tables want to fill as many seats as possible per seating. A large party, 6, 7 people, often has the advantage over a party of 2 because they can fill a table that smaller groups can't. If you're traveling in a big group and assume that made restaurant flexibility harder, at least with walk-ups, this flips it. Now, of course, making reservations for table service restaurants beforehand, it's just part of the Disney World planning process. But it's only one of the many things you need to do. So to ensure you don't miss out on any of it, we put together our brand new Ultimate Disney World Planning Guide filled with the step-by-step help to go from booking to park entry. And we want to send you a free copy. It also includes budget worksheets, planning checklists, packing guides to keep you one step ahead of everyone else in the parks. So scan the QR code on screen or click our exclusive link in the description and download your completely free guide right now. Now here's something new and exciting. Starting in 2026, Disney's added scheduled character visits with set appearances at 4 specific Disney resorts: Art of Animation, Pop Century, Caribbean Beach, and Wilderness Lodge. These are posted schedules, actual times. Here's what makes this especially worth knowing. You don't have to be staying at those resorts to participate. Anyone visiting those hotels, even if you're just stopping by, can join the character meet and greet. This is a completely free perk. It just requires you knowing about it. And now you do. Magical moments. For us, every moment at Disney World is magical. But sometimes you see on social media someone who got a little something special, like a honeymoon couple that got an upgrade to a suite. And even though you've been to Disney World countless times and never have seen that type of treatment, you might ask yourself, do magical moments really happen? Well, they do. They are genuine. Cast members have actual discretion to do something unexpected and special for guests, whether that's a room upgrade, a complimentary treat, or being chosen for something during a show, or a surprise celebration in their hotel room. These things do happen. But there's a catch. You cannot ask for one. The moment you approach a cast member and say, "Hey, can you do something special for us?" Or, "It's my son's birthday. What can you do for me?" That magical moment evaporates. You also must be from like New York or the New England area. But cast members aren't authorized to fulfill requests for magic. They're authorized to create it when they feel moved to do so. So what does actually influence them? Well, being a genuinely pleasant guest. So not that other guy. Saying thank you when they help you with something routine, not complaining at them about things beyond their control, like the heat or the lines. It turns out the guests who get magical moments are almost never the guests who are expecting one. That's worth thinking about every time you walk into the parks. When asking for directions, cast members can never give you the finger. Well, no, not that finger. I'm talking about the index finger. Every cast member is trained to direct guests using an open palm or 2 fingers held together, never a single index finger. Now, there are 2 reasons Disney does this. First, it's cultural. Pointing with a single index finger is considered rude in many parts of the world. And of course, Disney World hosts guests from everywhere. Second, it's practical. An open palm is significantly easier to follow in a crowded environment. Now, legend has it that the 2-finger gesture reportedly traces back to old photographs of Walt Disney himself pointing at attractions, with a cigarette held between those 2 fingers. So when the company later wanted distance from smoking imagery, started retouching photos, Walt's signature 2-finger gesture stayed, just minus a cigarette. And cast members have inherited it. Most Disney fans know that there are tunnels underneath Magic Kingdom. And one of the big reasons they're there is so cast members don't break the magic and walk through the wrong land in costume. Cast member walking in Frontierland cannot walk through Tomorrowland in their cowboy costume. Cast member from Liberty Square can't stroll through Fantasyland in their colonial era outfit. So to keep that theming of each land completely intact, cast members use backstage routes and most famously an underground tunnel system called utilidors. And these tunnels aren't just corridors. They house equipment, storage, break rooms, and are the operational backbone of Magic Kingdom. Now, every cast member's costume is considered part of the show. Not one piece, not the jacket, not the shoes, not the name tag, not the blue ID card, can leave Disney property while a cast member is wearing it. Disney does not want guests approaching off-duty cast members for help. That separation between on-duty and off-duty is intentional and enforced every single day. While of course many cast members stand for a large portion of their day, a number of them spend half their shift walking backwards. And to be honest, this is one of our fun facts, so we had to include it. On Omni Mover attractions, those continuously moving ride systems used on attractions like Haunted Mansion or the Seas with Nemo and Friends, as well as several others, cast members are stationed at the loading area and spend part of their shift walking backwards on the moving walkway to help guests board safely. Because walking backwards is safe for them, probably takes a little practice, but these cast members are continuously moving, facing guests, talking, guiding people into their doom buggies or clamshells while the walkway moves under them in the opposite direction. Now, if you've noticed this and ever asked yourself, how do they do this all day? The answer is, well, they don't. Cast members rotate positions roughly every 45 minutes throughout their shift. The backwards walkway is one station of several, and most cast members actually prefer it because it's indoors and air conditioned, which in a Florida summer is no small thing. Now, a lot of people love Disney World and Disneyland, including celebrities. And if a major celebrity walks through Disney World, actor, an athlete, a musician, cast members are required to stay completely in character. Whoever walks by, they can't acknowledge, can't react, they can't break from their role or scripted behavior. And they absolutely can't ask for a photo or an autograph. Although if they asked me, I'd give them one. Now that we know that Disney is the masters of creating immersive and magical spaces, but many don't realize the extent to which Disney has gone to manufacture some of these experiences. Let's start with ones that will probably disappoint you. All those screams you hear around the Tower of Terror, they're mostly fake. Yup, those are largely pre-recorded and played through external speakers positioned around the attraction. You stand outside and listen carefully, you'll notice the sound remarkably similar to each other, because they're on a loop. This is a deliberate design decision. Disney wants the atmosphere of dread and excitement that exists for guests in the queue and walking past the attraction. They can't rely on guests to generate consistent screaming, so they engineer it. That warm vanilla and baked good smell that hits you as soon as you begin walking down Main Street, it's not coming from the bakery in a traditional sense. Disney pumps engineered scents through vents along the street, sometimes called the smell-o-lator system, specifically designed to trigger appetite and create the feeling of warmth and nostalgia that Main Street is meant to invoke. It works on a real psychological level, and I know this. I have a PhD in psychology. The same system runs in other parts of the park. There's a distinct pirate and sea scent in the Pirates of the Caribbean queue, and different areas use different scents to reinforce specific theming. If you're looking for a color for an accent wall, or thinking of redoing your bedroom, you might want to consider Disney's proprietary paint color called Go Away Green. It's a specific muted gray-green, deliberately drab, calibrated to blend into peripheral vision. Oh wait, on second thought, don't use this color in your house. It's actually applied in Disney World so you don't notice it. Utility buildings, service access doors, backstage entrances, equipment housing. Anything operational that can't be fully hidden gets painted Go Away Green instead. But now that you know this color exists, you'll start seeing it everywhere on your next visit. Cast members operate by 5 priority guidelines, called the 5 keys. They follow them in strict order: safety, courtesy, show, efficiency, inclusion. Here's how it practically helps you. If you have a genuine safety concern, raise it immediately. It's a top priority for everyone on property. If you need help, approach with courtesy and you'll get courtesy back every time. And if something goes wrong with an attraction and a cast member stops a show, they're not being slow. Safety just won over efficiency. That's the system working exactly as designed. Now you can investigate this if you want, or you can just take our word for it. But Liberty Square in Magic Kingdom has no public restrooms anywhere within its borders. To use a restroom for Liberty Square, you have to walk into Fantasyland or Frontierland. But this isn't an oversight. It was a deliberate theming decision from the park's original design. Liberty Square represents colonial America in the 1700s, and you know what? Indoor plumbing did not exist in colonial America. Adding restrooms would break the historical immersion of the land, so Disney chose not to have them. So if you're planning to watch the Hall of Presidents or spend some time in the Haunted Mansion queue, build in a restroom stop before you commit, especially if you have young kids. Before any Disney attraction opens to guests each morning, cast members physically walk the entire length of the ride track, every inch. They're looking for things that are out of place, lost items from the night before, debris, or anything that looks broken or off. What this means in practice, cast members who operate Expedition Everest walk all the way to the top of that mountain and back down. Well, them and Stevie Nicks. After their track walk, cast members also ride the attraction with all the lights on, a full lit walkthrough to catch anything that wasn't visible on foot. Now, before walking the track, in fact, before setting foot in the Disney World theme park, all cast members have to complete a program called Traditions at Disney University. Yes, Disney has its own university, and those cast members are graduates of it. Traditions covers the history of the company, the story of Walt Disney, and the role that every cast member plays in what Disney calls the show. Cast members also learn the rules and values they're expected to live by on property. It's why Disney World feels the way it does. If you're planning a trip, of course, there's a lot of information on Disney's website. But what cast members don't tell you is that you can get free, dedicated Disney World planning advice, help deciding where to stay, what tickets are best options for you and your family, and insider tips to save money and time. The easy way to do that is to work with an authorized Disney vacation planner. Now, Heidi and I are not travel advisors. That's why we partner with Mousefan Travel. We love working with our personal consultant Blair, who navigates all the options to make sure we get the best available price and that we take advantage of any promotions or inclusions. And their services are completely free. So scan the QR code on screen or use our exclusive link in the description to book your next Disney adventure with Mousefan Travel. And of course, we have plenty of the great tips and tricks videos right here on YouTube to help ensure you stay one step ahead of everyone else in the parks.